Hey Guru Nation, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share. If you don't know what to comment, just put anything, helps me out. Maybe an emoji, robot emoji is good. So I got a question on, this guy was very persistent, Instagram and LinkedIn, and I answered on Instagram. I thought it was actually a good video topic and a quick short one because I'm looking for, integrating some shorter videos in between my longer podcasts and then the various different kind of stuff I do. So, hey, he said he saw in a job description online, what's the difference between clinical activities and research activities? So, in the context of a clinical trial, it might sound the same, like clinical activity, research activity. The easiest way to differentiate these things is to look at, is it a standard of treatment or standard of care or standard therapy, or is it experimental? So for example, a research activity would be like in schizophrenia studies, you're doing positive and negative symptoms of schizophrenia. That's a rating scale typically used in research. Why? It's to quantify the severity of schizophrenia. It's not really used in non-research setting. Another example, so that's an example of an assessment. That's a research assessment, and it doesn't really exist in the clinical setting. Every indication has these kind of things where they have assessments that are basically just research. Doesn't mean they're not approved in standard of care. It just means they're not required in standard of care to prescribe a medication. They use different tools in standard of care. It's usually, and here's what you tell patients, guys. This is a benefit to patients doing clinical trials. In research, you get a much more formal and a much more complete picture of your medical condition as a patient versus in standard of care, right? So that's one example. Another example is on the medication side. This is a more obvious one. Research activity would be investigational product. Investigational products cannot be given to patients in a clinical setting. They can only be given to patients in a research setting under an FDA-approved IND for the investigational product, which is an investigational new drug application. In the clinical setting, you can't give experimental treatments. You can do off-label and different things like that sometimes, but you can't just give something that's not approved and is not on the market. So those are two examples of the difference between clinical activities versus research activities. Again, to really get good at this stuff, just go on clinicaltrials.gov, look up any indication you're interested in. For example, atopic dermatitis, look it up on clinicaltrials.gov, look at all the assessments. All right, now Google those assessments, and you will see that many of them are only used in a research setting. And then the medication part is obviously self-explanatory as well. You can't give an experimental medication in a clinical setting if it's not a under the context of research. So clinical, here's the best way to differentiate it. Clinical is treatment. Research is not considered treatment because it's not approved yet. It might be treatment later, but at the time, research is not a treatment. You can't call it that. Research is experimental. In the clinical setting, it's treatment. Hopefully that helps. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.